Yo, what is good, everybody? I hope you all made some good money today. Natural gas is finally at that setup we've been waiting 2 weeks for, so we're likely about to make a lot of money on that one. Make sure to stick around for that one. Oil's at a predictable spot. We got CPI tomorrow, so there's a lot of places to make money in the markets right now. So make sure to watch through this whole thing. Make sure to show the video some love, give it a like and subscribe, and we're gonna get into it. So, start off, we got oil here. Um, Quite the shocker, kind of, because I was looking for, some kind of like curl downwards. Now that's still in the picture. Uh, just that it's still in the picture. This is a bear flag until it's invalidated. Um, but if it breaks out, you could really see that third wave we've been talking about as a possibility. Wave 1, 2, and that this was just a correction, but it was really hard to say that was a correction because of how impulsive or just that was a very strong move down. So this could just be an ABC. Remember the structure we've been looking for, corrective structure, where it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you go lower into that 60s region, right down to that level we've been kind of watching for a few months now. So kind of had a tricky spot here, not necessarily because it's a bear flag, which would mean it should break down, but if you look on SPY, you had a bear flag here. You broke above and you bounced off of it. So, there's some things to consider here, but right now, me and some of the futures traders in the Discord, we took a short right at the top here. It's looking good. The upside is somewhat limited because you go into the shorter time frames, and you also have 5 waves here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that wave should be completing soon. The only concern I have is that this retrace here, it's a little kind of cluttered up, but if you can see, we went below the 50%, which wave 4 can't do. So that's a little confusing. So I'm not really sure how to count this, but it's very overextended. You go into the 30-minute and the 15-minute. MACD is turning down, RSI is turning down. It's very overbought. So oil, it's very, very likely we see a pullback. I would like to see the 76s to just kind of see what it wants to do. But for now, we still got to leave that upside in the picture because it kind of pulled this off out of nowhere. I was looking for it to start turning down to that bottom, but as I said last night, I was like, the line in the sand is this bottom line, and what did it hold? That line. So very interesting spot here. We're going to be watching that pretty closely going into tomorrow. Natural gas, we finally hit my target. That yellow line here, that 1.618 extension here for the third wave. Now what are we looking for now? A major bounce. So this morning in the Discord, we got long right when we touched that, and I actually sold out right at the top here just because it was developing in kind of a wedge pattern, which is a reversal pattern, where you have the top kind of getting tighter, as well as the bottom. So this is kind of a wedge formation here, so you break underneath it and then you go down to the downside. So I think I would like a re-entry if we could hold those lows, these 350s. I would like to be able to enter back in there, and I'm also long in shares in that oil ETF we've been talking about. So if it doesn't come down, I'll have to wait for some kind of a different structure set up for me to be able to get that re-entry. But for now, I would like to see a little more downside. I might be asking for too much though, because this thing has seriously gotten destroyed and it cannot do this forever. So at some point, shorts are going to get obliterated. They've been making a lot on this move down. So the bulls, it's gonna be their turn soon. We just got a little more waiting to do, and the reason I sold here is because when these commodities are in bottoming processes, sometimes you'll see them. It's very out of the ordinary for it to just be this like V bounce. You usually see a bottoming process where you're kind of testing the lows to see if buyers are really going to hold it up. So you could see possibly even another low. You come back and hit this line, which I would be a buyer on. That blue line right there, it's possible. That might not happen. But I'm looking for a bottoming process around this yellow line. That's been my target for weeks now, and we just hit it. So really looking for upside on natural gas now. You could be seeing a big move up soon, and it's already starting from what my theory would be. onto the US dollar. Now again, yesterday it's not really telling us any information here, which is kind of unfortunate. It's losing that correlation it had with the markets. So with that correlation gone, it's kind of hard to utilize the US dollar. So um, you got a lot of space for this to move up, maybe test those higher regions in this area, but for now it's kind of looking like it's flagging. Uh, it could break to the downside, but I think it does need some sort of bounce soon, unless it breaks this line here. Um, that's the line in the sand. I think you're looking at a bounce unless it breaks that line right here. So not too much to say. That correlation's been kind of out of the picture for a few days now, so we'll have to see what it wants to do. Apple, I've been bullish on this for the past week or so. I said this was going to break out at some point, and that's what happened. We got this breakout, and we're moving back up into this previous support. So this should be a pretty hard line to reclaim, especially at the rate we've been going up at. And you have a tiny gap here, so that 135 region, you could have some trouble around if we get up there tomorrow right away. CPI, I think my bias is to the downside. I'm not betting on it. I can get in futures, but I think my bias is to the downside. We have limited upside. You'll see what I'm talking about when we get to SPYs. So Apple, we're getting a nice move up. It could go. The momentum's pretty nice, but CPI could put a hard stop to that. So until CPI is passed, I don't really have too much to say for the shorter term. We'll just have to see if it wants to get back above this line, because that's a pretty big one. Tesla's still battling that 25 region, which we've been talking about, and it has these downturn resistances. It actually tested one today, this line right here. So as I've been saying, it's a process. It has to test these resistances, break them, really prove itself, hold up. Bulls have to prove themselves in order to take this higher, and that region would be the 140s. To see how hard sellers come in here, because there's going to be a lot of sellers here. Amazon, that breakout we've finally been waiting for, that breakout we've been waiting for finally happened. And that gap, 110 to 105, we've been talking about this for a couple days, over a week now, and we finally got that breakout. We reclaimed this trend line, we held this trend line, we got over this resistance. So bulls are coming in hard here. You have volumes sort of picking up. I would like to see a little more, but so far it's looking good. We'll have to see what CPI does. I would like CPI to be a pullback and not just marking the top of the markets and we start heading down to 300. So I'm really curious to see what CPI does, and I'm sure the rest of the market is too. So Amazon finally broke out, but we want to see what CPI does in order to see if this trend line holds as support. LabVIEW, we tested 660 this morning, and then bounced back up, and we're above this region for the first time. This has really been a tough area for LabVIEW to get past. Now if it gets past it, those targets 770, 810, not too much else to say there, but I was looking into that biotech ETF, and it has a gap up here, so this could provide incentive for LabVIEW to actually push higher and fill that gap right near 10. So very interesting spot here. 770, 810, if it gets above that, you can move up towards 10. SOXL is looking for that gap to get filled. That gap we've been talking about for over a week now. I think we started talking about it right here. We were talking about this. There's a tiny gap here. Yeah, we were talking about it right here. Since then, that's almost 30%. So really nice gain so far. Might fill that gap, might not. It's right at it. So that could provide incentive for people to take profits once we get into that region. It's kind of overbought here. So I wouldn't necessarily chase this move. You got gap to the downside now. That's a pretty decent gap, so I would be looking for exhaustion soon. We'll see. This might actually be 5 waves up here just from a glance. So yeah, this up move could be finishing. We'll see how CPI does tomorrow. SYXX2, the big trend line, it's kind of got a hold here, or else there's nothing underneath. So a lot of downside if that line breaks, but just the way it's held up in the past, I kind of have my doubts it's just going to break down. So that could give us a hint. CPI is going to be bad because when this moves up, markets usually go down. The VIX, not too much to say, still consolidating in that triangle. CPI is a pretty big catalyst, so that CPI catalyst is pretty much right around that apex. So, that might be the catalyst to really get us out of this triangle one way or the other. Um, yeah, CPI I think may actually be the catalyst. So tomorrow, very big spot on the VIX. Tomorrow, Friday, Monday, be watching the VIX to see which way it goes. This gap looks like it has a lot of incentive to get filled, so I'm watching that gap. But um, again, we'll see. CPI, uh, it looks like it's trying to go to the downside for the VIX. The market would go up in that case, but we just have to see once we get past that apex. We'll know for sure. So on the spy here, I'm gonna show you a message from the Discord. So we kind of got tricked out here with this drop. So with that drop, I was looking for 386 to 384. Now the way we got there is what matters rather than just getting to that price. So this is the scenario we were looking for. I believe this was Friday maybe. I think that was Friday we were talking about this, and we got that last move up, and then we corrected. So that's what was expected. We started moving down, but the way we got to my target was in a straight line. There were no bounces on the way down, like in that illustration. We're gonna zoom in here so I can really kind of clarify what I'm saying here. So this was my target, 386, 386-ish to 384. So I expected it to look like this, bounce, and then get to 386, 384 region. But instead, we went straight down, and so that's why I closed my futures short position once we got there, because I said, this was my target, and we got there without bouncing. It was kind of supposed to bounce, so it was a little confusing, and that actually kind of switched up the plan a little, but that's fine because it went according to the plan, just not exactly how we completely wanted it. So after that bounce, I said we're probably going to start heading to 400, but I didn't go long because we didn't get that bounce, and I just was a little unsure of what he was doing. So that's where that confusion came in. It didn't let me catch this whole move, which really would have been nice, because we're nearing 400. We're not that far away. That's like a $15 move from there, so a little unfortunate, but I'm not going to take something I'm not completely sure of. So we kind of missed out on that, unfortunately, but that's fine. There were plenty of other ways we made money, and that in those ways that we did make money. So zooming back out here, we're kind of taking a look at the big picture. We broke out of that volume gap, and we finally hit that region. You go look at my thumbnails from like 3 videos ago, like Thursday or Friday, and this was my target, this purple box. To the upside, that purple box is my target, and to the downside, this purple box is my target, and that's the way we went. So we're in this region. You are going to see a lot of sellers come in here because this is a massive supply zone. There's going to be a lot of sellers just sitting around here. So I would be surprised if we managed to break through 400 and keep going, because it's very likely that we have finished a set of waves here. I'm going to kind of draw that out here. So if we zoom in here, let me put this down so I can zoom in. So, we got that bounce off the bear flag, which was somewhat of a surprise because, you don't see this often where you break out of a bear flag or a bull flag and then you like hold on the top of it or the bottom of it like this. That was a little surprising, but we knew it was possible, and the bulls proved themselves. That's what we were kind of waiting to see, if they would prove themselves, and they really did. So you also could have a wedge here, which would really knock this thing down really hard. And I think that would start tomorrow. So if this is a wedge here, it's kind of hard to know what I want to do with this region, if I want to include this in the wedge or not. But to be conservative, I'm not going to use the bottom. I'm going to use it from this line. And wedges like to retrace to at least the 0.32, but usually the 50% and the 618. So you could be coming all the way back down to where we were kind of trying to find support previously. So that could happen as soon as tomorrow. I'm kind of leaning to the downside. Now, I'm not really betting on it. I can just play along with it tomorrow morning. So it's going to be interesting. I'm leaning to the downside. There might be a little more upside, but we're overextended. We have divergences. Pretty big ones too. You can see that. High, well, the MACD a lower high, same with the RSI, and we're just going to go through the time frame so you can see this for yourself. Divergence. So 2 hour has not slowed down yet. So that's something to note. The higher time frames aren't completely supporting this kind of downside move, but it's pretty likely that we are reaching some sort of temporary top. Now, if we go back to August, that was a nasty melt up. I believe it was it this one? Yeah, so very minimal bounces. So you gotta watch out for that. If we start pushing above 400, if we can push above 400 and really hold it, you could start seeing those CTAs kick in, that automated buying, and they won't stop, because it's gonna create this domino effect where shorts are forced to cover, and the higher it goes, all the big money, they have to hedge their positions by buying more through a process of automated buying. So it's just going to be this domino effect of just only going up. So that's the thing we've been looking out for a very long time, since we were back here in November. I said once we top out of this move, we're going to get a big retrace down into this region where there's going to be a lot of buyers. We held it, and now what can happen after? That's C wave. So this is not out of the picture. You really need to be aware of that. This is very possible. There's a lot of shorts, and if it goes the wrong way, they're going to get decimated, and you are really going to see the effect of that. So for SPY and the general market, there may be a little more upside, but it should get a temporary top soon, just from all the things I'm looking at and the wave structure. It's very likely reaching a top here, and you can see with the fib extensions, we closed right at that 0.618, so that's another reason of incentive to find a top around here. So I'm not betting on this. I want to see what it does tomorrow morning, and I'll just kind of play that aftermath, just kind of see how the market reacts to what number comes out. We can take a look at the numbers. I believe it gives the estimate. It might not, but we'll see. So tomorrow's the 12th, so you actually have a couple things. You have jobless claims too, so that could add to the volatility. But CPI here, so I believe the average, it's not really saying it. The average is 6.5. Oh yeah, you can see it on this one. So 6.5, that's kind of the median of all of the really like big banks, their estimates. It's around 6.5. So if it comes in a little higher, I'd say like 6.7, 6.8. I think that would have a negative effect. But 6.5 and lower, you could see a little more running up. But ultimately, I don't know how long that would last, because we've already been going up into CPI. So if it's good, it's kind of priced in a way. So I'm not exactly as bullish as I was back here when we did that straddle. I think we're going to be looking at exhaustion soon. So we're just going to have to see what CPI does, how that affects the whole market. Yeah, we'll see how that goes tomorrow morning. I'll have a video tomorrow, and we can just kind of see where we go from wherever we are tomorrow. So if you watch this whole thing through, show it some love, give it a like and subscribe, and peace out, guys.